Hey, welcome back to the trumpet. All right, we got one person hit right on. I hit it right on 7 o'clock. I was waiting like those people at the bank do. They're like, "Woo dang." But you know what? It's like a timer on it. It says you can go early, but I think we're just going to have a great time. Thank you for joining my live. I certainly do appreciate it. I see the comments are strolling all in. The people are joining. Super, super good. Let me know if my volume's coming through okay. I can adjust all this stuff before we get started. And hopefully everybody's that is joining is a lot of people have downloaded the hey dude, I'm in Savannah too. I love that. I simplified. That's that Murray. There you go. I love that. Savannah, Georgia is my hometown. I was born and raised there. I got my sure a lot of trouble in that town. And then I had a lot of good times in that town too. But then again, that was my young days, and I wasn't a trumpet then. I was Greg. And am I coming through okay? Is it sounds good? Hip huggers. Oh my goodness. I know all them places, man. That is a good time there. Yes, 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 yes. All right. That means that I can talk and I can just start get it. All right, we're getting ready. I can't do anybody with co-hosting and all, and I certainly appreciate all those people coming in. I'm not fancy enough to do that. I've got some people in here that are moderators. Katie, she's helping me, and she is one of my new disciples. She's going to be helping me. She's very familiar with all these things, and I certainly appreciate y'all all joining. We're going to be talking about the Watchers and why God. I was about to say Jesus. Why Jesus God? Why He wiped mankind off the face of the earth. I mean, this is a terrible thing, but in our Bible, we have Genesis 6:4. Genesis 6:4. And that's all we have for when the Watchers descended and defiled the women and created giants. And I'm just like, the book of Enoch expands on the Watchers quite well. And I want to make sure I can go through all my stuff right here, my pictures. Y'all remember last time I did this? And y'all remember last time, and then I couldn't get into my pictures. Okay, hot dog. This is the destruction and the end of the world, and I would imagine whenever Noah's Ark and all the water settled that there was quite a mayhem. But when the fallen angels mated with the women of earth, that was a thing. That's Genesis 6:4. And basically, this chapter in the book of Jubilees expands on that. If you go to my website or the bio page and you go to my link tree, this whole 6-page thing that we're getting ready to read and go over. I mean, we've had hundreds of people in this room. There's hundreds of people in it now. I can't believe it. And I'd certainly appreciate everything. Y'all go to my link tree, and underneath my links is chapter 5. This is all about, you can download it, print it off, and read right along with us. I'm going to be putting them on the screen behind us, and it's just going to be a really great study. It is about the fallen angels and the Watchers. And to tell you the truth, I don't know what they were watching. They were watching, the girl watching up on top of the mountain up there, and then they ended up swooping down onto the girls that they thought that they saw were lovely. And we're going to read all about that in this chapter. I'm going to tell you something. Next week, I was working on the study guide for next week. Next week is how we got the calendar wrong and how we went away from a 364-day calendar because the people that took the book of Jubilees out of your circulation so that you couldn't see it, those people called the Sanhedrin, they took that out and you weren't supposed to see it, and they went by the Babylonian calendar, which used the phases of the moon, and that was 10 days off, and you're going to read it right there in chapter 6 next week. We're going to read it where it says, and they'll go 10 days wrong, and they'll say it's 354 days, and that's exactly what the Babylonians did. And the Jewish people, the Sanhedrin that formed, they were with the Babylonian calendar, so they got rid of the book of Jubilees because it conflicted with their calendar that they were going by. And the book of Jubilees was written to Moses and given to him by an angel while he was on the mountain of God. And I mean, it's pretty legit. I want to read you what the Holy Bible has for Genesis 6:4. This is all that we have is one verse about when the fallen angels defiled the women of earth and caused the destruction of the earth. Okay? One verse in our Bible. The book of Enoch 1 is basically Genesis 6:4 expanded. And there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. And when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. That's it. No more talk about those filthy angels that came down to Mount Hermon and defiled mankind. We don't need to talk about them no more. That's just enough. That's why they flooded the earth. It says right there, he goes, I'm done with man, and we're going to get rid of them. And it does. The book of Jubilees tells you actually the real story. It's called the Lesser Genesis, and I don't get it. It's actually Genesis, like so much better. But again, we're reading off chapter 5. I'm getting ready to jump right into the Watchers and how they chained them underneath the rivers and why they flooded the earth and how Noah built an ark. And whenever they get off of the ark, how what happens. And this is the landing of the ark. That next week is going to be wow. Just wow. And I had one comment, and the people asked me if I could stay on subject, and no, I can't. Because whenever I read a Bible verse, I know that there's so much that goes around that verse, and the context is everything to me. And I'm not talking about the verse before it and the verse after it. I'm talking about when they're speaking about somebody, I'm going to tell you the backstory on that guy and the verses that go with it and point it to you in the Bible to know why that's there. So I have to go off the track a little bit, and it's called a chain reference. If I ever do anything, I'll be reading out of this chain reference Bible. It is it gives you all the links into the scriptures, and any word that's in the scripture, it'll give you a chain reference to it. It too is in my links under my Amazon links. I also reference this thing. You see that? You see that? It's a map. I can't jump it. Anyway, the map of time, and I might have a picture of that, right? Sure do. Bow. That map of time right here. All right, well, I got this up right here. The Sanhedrin. God, I can't move my head. There's like Cleopatra, Mark Antony. There's the Sanhedrin right there. And they're the ones that right before Herod took control, they're the ones that said the book of Genesis doesn't jive with what we got going. The book of Jubilees, and get rid of it. And those dudes in the Sanhedrin. Now let me tell you something. The Sanhedrin didn't even exist for 1,500 years. Those are 70 people that are together that made decisions and represented Israel. And the first time that the 70 were gathered together, that was when they were complaining about eating manna. And they didn't want, they wanted something more to eat than manna. And what happened was God told them and said, Moses, go get 70 people that represent them, get them together, tell them I'll give them some meat other than manna and all this stuff. They'll have meat till it comes out of their noses. And he had them all, then he got done with them. So that was the first 70 of the Sanhedrin, and then you can just read about these other dudes that were supposed to be decision makers, and they were literally ate up by the desert and all of this stuff. So the Sanhedrin was unheard of until the day of Moses, until right here. And then they came into the picture and started making decisions and said, dude, the book of Enoch, no. The book of Jubilees, no. And unfortunately for them, they didn't agree with the people that put the stuff in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And when the Dead Sea Scrolls came out, their whole lie or their whole cover-up was uncovered. All right. We're going to jump right into the front of this. Get to my last pictures here. See if I did a better job this week. All right. I got Arlo in the way. If Arlo gets in the way a little bit, he always is on my shoulder. A little bit about Arlo. Arlo's a year old. He was named after that runt dinosaur. Say, hey, Arlo. And he was named after that, and my grandchildren just love him to death. He is a little over 3 pounds. And when my mama spent a bunch of time in the hospital and I was on my TikToks all the time, Arlo grew up on my shoulder. So Arlo loves to stay there, and he loves Daddy so much. So I forget that he's even there sometimes. And he's real warm. So we're getting ready to start reading the first part of chapter 5 in the book of Jubilees. This is all about the Watchers. This is Genesis 6:4, just blown apart. I'm super sorry if I stray off the subject and start, I don't know, if I cry or something like that, I don't got that plan. We start talking about Jesus Christ and it starts hitting me and I start telling you about some experience and all. You know, I got a lot of people said that I had my testimony, give y'all my testimony. That I ain't did that yet. But that was a wonderful thing that I said at the end of class today. I got something for you when I heard that knock on the door. I tell you that one. You know, out of all this, I hope that all of the people that are in this room, if you wake up at night, I want you to realize that how hard it is to wake somebody up while they're sleeping. And you need to realize that whatever's waking you up is trying pretty hard to do that, just like it would take for you to wake somebody else up. So it's not easy to wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So when you're being called and they're trying to wake you up, they finally got through to you. And I don't know, man. You know, all the people that got called in the Bible, you might want to just turn around and say, what can I do? What can I do for you? You know, that's real important because I want you to have rest. And I have rest. And I asked the Lord, what can I do for you? And what can I do for you today, Lord? And I ask him every day, and he's, you know, hey, tell him this and tell him that and do these things. I guess that's him telling me because it's just a wonderful thing and just so many people follow it. It's just got to be a good thing because I pray before. If you ever see my work, I've prayed before I pushed that send button and I said, please, Lord, if it's not good, if it's not the right thing, I want you to strike my work down and I'll spend 1,000,000 years doing it to make it right. And so if you see it, it passed that little test. And I like so much that we got so many people in this room. We are getting ready to start jumping right in. I'll show you this picture. It's got that one watcher, and he's right up in the top corner of it. And these guys are the ones that they are the ones that thank you so much. And I hope that my moderators are doing good. We're getting ready to get started. I've had such a good success, and man, thousands of people went and watched it on YouTube. And my son got in here, Mike, and he helped me get the YouTube thing set up so that I can even do a better job there. He's really savvy at it. He's 30 years old maybe, and he's just super smart with that stuff. He types on the computer so fast. All right, this is when men began to multiply and toillessness increased. And hey, no, quit. Don't do that. Don't stick your tongue in my ear. All right. And it came to pass when the children of men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the Malachim of Yahweh saw them on a certain year of this Jubilee, that they were beautiful to look upon. And they took themselves wives of all whom they chose, and they bare children, and they bare unto them sons, and they were giants. Okay, that's Genesis 6:4, just real quick. We're going to keep talking about these guys. And Genesis 6:4 was, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. And when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, they bare children to them, and the same became mighty men of old, which were of old, men of renown. That's Genesis 6:4. Basically, it's that first sentence. So that's all we get in the Holy Bible. They're getting ready to tell you all about it. I start crying, and sorry, that's just part of the trumpet. And toilsomness increased on the earth, and all flesh was corrupted its way alike, and cattle and beasts and birds and everything that walked on the earth, all of them corrupted their ways and their orders, and they began to devour each other, and toilsomness increased on the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of all men, thus evil continually. Are y'all watching Arlo? He is like kissing my ear, and it is just, that's distracting. Okay. Bear with me. And Yahweh looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, and all flesh had corrupted its orders, and all that were upon the earth had wrought all manner of evil before his eyes. Right there. Now, we're right in front of this picture, so I just want you to know that most of that is on the way over there. And if I back too far up, it gets my white face mixed up with the thing. So I'm going to try to stay sort of right here in front of it. But Noah found free, unmerited favor before the eyes of Yahweh, and against the angels whom he sent upon the earth. He was exceedingly wroth, and he gave commandment to root them out of all their dominion. And he bade us to bind them in the depths of the earth, and behold, they are bound in the midst of them, and are kept separate. Okay? And against their sons went forth a command, and from before his face, that they should be smitten with the sword, and be removed from under heaven. And he said, my spirit shall not always abide with man, for they also are of flesh, and their days shall be 120 years. Okay, I think that's actually Genesis 6:5. So you can, what I do?
You want to give me him so he can stop licking your ear?
My wife just took the dog. She goes, you want to give me the dog so he can stop sticking his tongue in there? She bought that dog, and he ended up just loving me to death and won't leave me alone. He sleeps right there with me. And that's got to be scary at night when I roll over. I love all of y'all for joining the room. I thank so much for y'all reading the book of Jubilees with me. It's the Jubilee year, and it's the year of the trumpets. And if you read about the trumpets and all that stuff, it's just a crazy year. I got a thing in one of the banks. It was the year of the snake, and it was a Chinese calendar, and it had a big serpent on it and all. And we were 2024 was the year of the dragon, and we changed to the year of the serpent this year. So this is the year of the serpent, and he laid hold on the dragon, which is that serpent, which is the devil, and bound him 1,000 years. And I mean, it's a dragon, it's a serpent, and all these calendars, it's all playing together. But I don't want, to tell you, ooh, it's this way, ooh, it's that way. When you start hearing those people say that, just know you keep your eyes on what you feel is holy. And you keep your eyes on God, and you keep straightforwardness is what it says in the Bible, and you do not steer to the left and or to the right. I see a lot of stuff, and you stay right in the middle. That's very important. All right, we're going to go to the next page, and this is not a short chapter. It's not a long one. All of the study guides ended up being about 6 pages. So it's a good read. And the thing is there's 50 chapters. We started in the second week, so it's actually going to last every Wednesday. We're just really excited about doing it. And when I was doing the study guide for next week, it tells us exactly how we should have kept the calendar and how the numbers should be, the months should be numbered, 12 of them, but they're called 1 through 12. They're not named after moons or any of that stuff. You're getting ready to find out, I think it says it like here on maybe the next page, how all of the flood and all went down on the second month and on the 17th day. So I don't know what exactly was the 7th month, and nobody really knows what year day it is now. So you surely won't know when God's coming back and Jesus is coming back. But the second month, if there's any like sign, February 17th is President's Day or George Washington's birthday. And always interesting to know that stuff. Y'all ready to read the third page? And he sent his sword into their midst, that each should slay his neighbor, and they began to slay each other, till they all fell by the sword and were destroyed from the earth. Okay, sorry for whoever said don't stray off the subject. Let me tell you all about that sword that he put into their midst. Goliath slings a sword, and his brother comes back and picks up the sword from David, and he girt a new sword. And right then, David was thought to be dead. And the next verse is David got no heat. I'm not going to go down David's road again. But the sword of Goliath, when David got it, he went into the temple to get bread for his guys, and he goes, hey man, I ain't got no food or nothing. Do you got a sword in here? And the priest said, I'll give you the bread, and I just happen to have this sword back here, and that's the sword that you slayed Goliath with. And I'm like, man, you don't even know where the sword is that you slayed Goliath is? And he goes, ooh, give it to me. There is none like it. So David immediately possesses Goliath's sword, and he knows there's none like it. And this is Genesis 6:4, where the giants, the angels, or the fallen angels, are having to watch their sons take the sword and do all these terrible things with it. And their fathers were witnesses of their destruction. And that hurt, boy. You sit there and watch your children do all that stuff, even though they were probably, half horses and minotaurs and whatever they could be. This is just such more of a makes sense story to me. And their fathers were witnesses of their destruction. And after this, they were bound in the depths of the earth forever until the day of great condemnation, when judgment is executed on all those who have corrupted their ways and their works before Yahweh. And he destroyed all from their places, and there were none left of one of whom he judged not according to all their wickedness. And he made for all of his works a new and righteous nature, so that they should not sin in their whole nature forever, but should be all righteous, each in his kind of ways, always. I'm sorry. You know what? My reading is just terrible. I know y'all think that, God, you just read those things, and I just like take 47, whenever I get these things read right. I guess you get to see the polished version of it. I was excited to tell my son that, at least you don't have to rent somebody to talk. Your daddy's the trumpet whenever we were doing this. And there is nothing in heaven or on earth or in light or in darkness or in Sheol or in the depths or in the place of darkness which is not judged. And all their judgments are ordained and written and engraved. We are right there. In regard to all, he will judge the great according to his greatness, and the small according to his smallness, and each according to his way. And he is not one who will regard the person of any, nor is he one who will receive gifts. If he says that he will execute judgment on each, if one gave everything that is on earth, he will not regard the gifts of the person or any, nor accept anything at his hands, for he is a righteous judge. And of the children of Israel, it has been written and ordained, if they turn to him in righteousness, he will forgive all their transgressions and pardon all their sins. That's the children of Israel. That's you. Turn from all your righteousness. That's me. That's all of us. I really hope that they do. I hope that they see that. I hope that they see. We were just reading last week. It was in the Bible. We were reading Isaiah, and they were saying, you've let people, the very first chapter of Isaiah, they said, you've let people come into your country, and they've desecrated your country, and you've let them overrun it. And it looks like somebody poured a trash can all over Jerusalem. So I hope that once we clean up one place, I hope that it can be cleaned, and I hope that they can all turn from their ways. And I'm going to read that again. And of the children of Israel, it has been written. We're right here. It has been written and ordained. If they turn to him in righteousness, he will forgive all their transgressions and pardon all their sins. Pow. Children of Israel. right there. And, we're sort of like in that group. The disciples went out from Israel and everybody dispersed, and they were all the Jews that went out there and started doing that. We've got two more pages. We get over to one that's got some pictures on it, and this is when they start talking about he opened up the gates of heaven. And it is written and ordained that he will show mercy to all who turn from all their guilt once each year. Wow. You see that right down there? Once each year. Now, what day that is and what exactness that is, me and you are learning and reading this together. I've read through this. Do I have an answer for every bit of that? No, but I can tell you that all the way through all 5 of the books that we've read, they ordain the Sabbath. They talk about the Sabbath. They talk about taking the 7th day and chilling out on the Sabbath. And if you should do that, you should do like I'm going to do and print out the new study guide and read over it and go prepare your things that you're going to have on the Sabbath. The Sabbath is very important. And it's a respectful day, and it's almost like a day that you want to prepare for because it's a reverence of preparing and making things prepared. So you prepare the things you're going to drink, and you prepare the foods that you're going to eat. You don't want to be working to do those things. And you want to sort of just absorb the Lord. And on the Sabbath, Jesus, I keep wanting to almost say God, Jesus is God. Jesus told the devil, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. And you just have to understand that that's just how deep he is. So it is written and ordained that they should show mercy to all and all their guilt once each year. And as for all those who corrupted their ways and their thoughts before the flood, no man's person was accepted, save that of Noah alone. For his person was accepted in behalf of his sons, whom Yahweh saved from the waters of the flood on his account, for his heart was righteous in all his ways, according as it was commanded regarding him. And he had not departed from aught, and was ordained for him. So, that's talking about how special Noah was, how he made these things for his son. And, he didn't have a Bible. They didn't have books. They didn't have a big thing written down. He was just like, man, I know there's a higher power than me, and it runs things. And he was just a divine person, and he was allowed to continue mankind after all of these Malachim and these fallen angels had defiled the women of earth. So the next thing that happens is when they open these floodgates. And I wrote 217 down here, February 17th. That's when they say the floodgates of heaven opened. It's also when Solomon started building the temple. And there's another February 217. That's like pretty important. It's like the Exodus or something like that. But it's a big date. Like I said, this one when the floodgates open. So you can tell that everything has sort of gone awry. The fallen angels have defiled themselves. And, there's just mothers trying to save their children and all these things. And if you go see that Noah's Ark exhibit, oh my gosh, I can only tell you, go to that thing because it's really cool. And I'm a contractor. It's got these huge beams and timbers, and you should just plan a trip to that. But inside of it, down at the bottom, you can hear those people beating on the side of the boat. And it's like, boom, 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 boom. And you can hear the waves crashing and the lightning and all. And it is off the chain. Me and my wife, we were just sitting there. And when we went, there was almost nobody there, and I got all this great video and audio and all that stuff. I'll play it sometime. All right, let's read about the great flood. And the reason that he did this is because everything had defiled itself, and all the animals and all the things had defiled themselves. Oh, good. You know what? I'm glad that was down a little bit because it's right there. All right, good. And Yahweh said that he would destroy everything which was upon the earth, both men and cattle and beasts and fowls of the air, that which moves on the earth. Important thing right there. he didn't destroy the first thing that he made, and we read this last week or the week before, the first thing that he made of flesh were great sea monsters. So just know that the great sea monsters didn't get destroyed. The Leviathan, the things that went into the sea, none of those. It was all the things that are above the earth. And when you say the beast is coming out of the sea in the book of Revelation, that's because the water is like not a great thing. The water is in the last chapter of Revelation. It says there was the New Jerusalem. There was no more sea. And then, like a few chapters before, it says the waters that thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, were peoples and nations and tongues. So just know that the water, that's why they divided it, to get the people to go through it in Israel and all these things. And the water is just not the super best thing in the world, and that's why Jesus was walking on the water, and there were always, his face was over the face of the deep, and he divided the waters which were above the heaven, which were below, and it was all about the water. And we read about the angels and the ones that covered the water, and that were even the dew. And so just know that he is the living waters, and other water, the people that drinketh at the woman at the well, the one that drinketh of this water will thirst again. And he actually is the living water. So let's read about the water that covered the face of the earth. It tells you exactly how high the water was right here. And this is Genesis with receipts. It's the book of Jubilees. Let me catch everybody up. We're eating right through this thing. Go to my bio page on my link tree and download this study guide, and it printed off. It's like 6 pages, and if you want to, print off the book of Jubilees and read that thing about chapter 6 next week. That's going to be cool. All right, I'm going to start right there. And Yahweh said that he would destroy everything. I know I done said that, didn't I? With cattle on earth. And he commanded Noah to make him an ark, that he might save himself from the waters of the flood. And Noah made an ark in all respects as he commanded him in the 27th Jubilee of years, in the 5th week, in the 5th year, on the new month of the 1st month, 1307 after man. And that was after he created Adam. So that's how they time everything. And if you take that big Adam's map chart, it goes right with it too. And he entered in the 6th year thereof, 1308 a.m., in the 2nd month, on the new month of the 2nd month, till the 16th. And he entered, and all that were brought to him into the ark, and Yahweh closed it from without on the 17th evening. Okay, President's Day. I say 217. It says the 2nd month. They didn't give them names. I know, it's probably not February 17th. But it's George Washington's birthday, and it's almost Lincoln's birthday. Hey, thank you so much. I love all of y'all, man. Thank you so much. This is just such a great chapter to go through, and thank you so much for these gifts. I hope that my people, I will become a member ASAP. You know, I understand when y'all subscribe, that really supports me, and I certainly appreciate that. I want y'all to know, I got this today. Congratulations, I need a partner. All right. So all of my stuff I'm putting up here on the white. There's my link tree right there too. It's got all the same books and all this stuff. I want everybody to go there. That'd be a good thing to do, because that way they don't glitch around when they decide they don't like something. They sure do. Well, we're talking about the waters right before they come down, and we're right here getting ready to read about that. And I was just on that piece of paper right there. I hope that y'all don't mind putting up with the way I skip around. Thank you so much for the gifts. They really do support me. It really is something that I want to pursue full time. And it's just a thing that I love doing. And this is just the beginning of the tip of the iceberg. Jubilees is just such a cool book to read. right here, and I'm going to keep reading it for you. They go, I love hearing you read or to talk and what have you. And so that YouTube page that I just put up, those things are like an hour. Thank you so much, Jason. Those YouTubes are like an hour, hour and a half long, and they are unfiltered trumpet and unedited as this. And I don't know, man. I was actually sitting there listening to it the other day. It was intriguing to just sort of hear it because, I lost my hearing. Let me tell you that part. I've lost my hearing. I woke up on COVID on a Sunday morning and literally my left ear didn't work at all. And everybody had lost their taste and their thing. And I don't have any type of jab or anything. Had the COVID. I said, I'll just get rid of it. And my left ear quit working. And so it caused me to read everything, and I had to read because I couldn't hear you. And that caused, and as I was reading these stories, I was like, oh, wait a minute, man. I heard this different. Now I'm reading the story, and it's different than what I've heard. And that's what happened to me is I lost my hearing, and trumpets don't have ears. Know that. So I know why he shut my ears off. I know he was like going, hey, dude, you need to stop listening to what people are telling you. Read it for yourself and provide it to those people and don't stray off of that, man. Just put the message out there. So I hear it loud and clear, loud and clear. Let's go right there. And Yahweh opened the 7 floodgates of heaven. That's interesting. And the mouths of the fountains of the great deep, 7 mouths in number. I want y'all to go find those mouths, man. I want to be those big meteor craters and what have you. Ain't no meteor hit there. A meteor's going to hit at an angle and cause a big explosion, and a long thing is going to come in at an angle. And it's not going to make it's like a golf ball pitch shot that's going to make a divot mark in the earth. And that's probably one of those holes. And the floodgates began to pour down water from the heavens 40 days and 40 nights. And the fountains of the deep also sent up waters until the whole world was full of water. And the waters increased upon the earth. 15 cubits did the waters rise above all the high mountains. And the ark was lifted up above the earth, and it moved upon the face of the waters. We all heard that. And I don't know, you can go to any of these people's books about whatever they got. They all got a flood story. And you just need to know that he got tired of this riffraff. He flooded the earth, and they talk more about the flood and going through all that stuff. But the reason for the flood was the fallen angels, and the Sanhedrin are the ones that took all of these stories that told about the cause of that and had that taken out of your book. So Enoch 1, they took that out. That was in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the book of Jubilees, they took that out, is in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the water prevailed on the face of the earth 5 months, 150 days. And the ark went and rested on top of Lubor, one of the mountains of Ararat. All right. You know what? I think it landed. It sure did. Right here. That's what it did. Right there. It landed on the 17th day of the 2nd month. So like the whole thing is a year. And remember what we read about a year is like 1,000 days and all that stuff. And Adam lived to be 900 and something because he sinned and didn't make it through that one day. So cool. Now, that picture right there, all of my pictures I get are from this book. I can only suggest that you go get this book right here. I'll try to find it and put it in my link tree. Whether or not that's just, God, best. Let me just open it randomly. Open this to the coolest picture in the world. Okay? It's random. Wow. Oh my gosh. You know what? I can't. I love these pictures. That right there. So this ark lands, you're going to get off this thing and like going, okay. And, no, A lot of people didn't make it through that one right there. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Katie Nicole. I love it. That's my moderator. All right. Now let me keep reading. Did I read it? And on the new month, in the fourth month, the fountains of the great deep were closed, and the floodgates of heaven were restrained. And on the new month of the seventh month, all the mouths of the abyss of the earth were opened, and the water began to descend into the deep below. Yes, there it went. And on the new month of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen. And on the new month of the first month, the earth became visible. And the waters disappeared from above the earth in the fifth week on the seventh year, 1309 after man, thereof. And on the 17th day of the second month, the earth was dry. And it said that it was wet at the beginning of that. So that's just super, super, super cool. Now, I don't know if that's February 17th. It's the second month. It's the 17th day. I like the fact that it's all this information, and it, without a doubt, you can read these same stories right out of Genesis. It's just without the detail and the dates. And to know that the books of the Bible all have a strong comparison, like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that all have A and a B component that justify and what's the word that I'm looking for? They run parallel to each other so that they reiterate the story over and over again. And that's the thing that you like to see is consistency. And the book of Jubilees reads exactly like the book of Genesis and the first half of the book of Exodus. I find it interesting that it details a lot more about the Sabbath. And as we just read that right there, that is the last of that chapter right there. And this ark runs aground. And in the next week, we're going to find all about how that ark, they got off the ark, and he starts to distribute the land, and he tells them how you're going to keep up with the days and how long they are and all of that stuff. And he nails it right down. He's got 52 weeks and 12 months and all of the things. However, it was an exact day that came into 364 days, and the Babylonians changed the calendar, and the Jews believed it, and they kept up with it, and they threw away the book of Jubilees because of it. So thank you so much for all of your gifts. There's just so many things that I want to try to do with this program and TikTok, and this is what the Lord told me to do at TikTok. And to tell you the truth, I don't know. People can't subscribe. A lot of the people can't subscribe. A lot of the people can't recharge their cards. My son, he couldn't ever load the app back up. I have no idea what's going to happen to this. So I want you to know that, like, if they turn the TV off on the 18th or 17th or whatever it is, even I could care less if they turn off tomorrow. I would care less. I want you to read the book of Jubilees. Just go print it out. It ain't but about, I don't know, it's pretty big. But it's not like the Bible. It's this big. It's this big. It's that thick. And I glued all of my stuff together. You don't need a big stapler. You need a bottle of this right here. And you put 1, 2, 3 dots on the back of it. When it tacks, then you just glue the thing together. You got a little book. And all of my stuff are the book. Listen, if you want to read the book of Genesis and the book of Exodus with receipts and explanations and like who Adam, Cain, and Abel's sisters were, I would suggest you read it. It tells you a calendar that works right now. If you were born on a Tuesday of the year, every year your birthday would be on that same Tuesday, and it counts when you see the big yellow ball appear in the morning. That's like a day, and then the next time you see that come over, that'd be the next day. And they decided that they wanted to try to figure out where the moon was sitting in the right position and all that stuff, and it just, I don't know. I'm not going to say knuckleheads, but I will. I want to tell y'all a story, and it's about it's something that I want to do almost every week. I want to tell y'all a story about what I gain and what I get out of my beliefs and what I know to be true. And I want all of y'all to rest. I want all of y'all to realize how hard it is to wake you up in the morning. And I want you to know that when you get woke up in the morning, that it's hard to wake you up. And you need to do just what they do in the Bible and say, here I am. Here I am, Lord. And that's so important that you answer him. And then don't ask him to do things for you. Say, what can I do for you? Open your Bible, open any cheap Bible randomly, and just read that verse. And read that verse, and then read the verses before it, and read the verses behind it. And that's such a better thing to fill your brain with. And to wonder, why did I just land on that verse? And it will just tear you apart when you put it together 2 weeks from now and you went, man, that happened. That just happened. I've read about that. Oh yeah, this is so-and-so. That's my life. And, I used to be a successful contractor, and I put the roof on the Orlando International Airport, and I put the roof on every bit of it, and very successful at that. And when my life was coming unglued, I had told a story on here that I told the God that I would like to sell all of my things and become the best preacher that he ever saw if he would just make that clock move or make that thing moving. And of course, we all heard the story. And of course, without even having heard the story, you know that God didn't make the clock move, and my father just passed away. And he did. He told me. He said, He didn't tell me, but he took all the things away so that I could never take that and offer that to him. And as I watched these things, literally had moths in my closet. And I designed this house when I was a senior in high school. Thank you so much. I just saw somebody at a party at my house the other day, had glasses just like that. And I had moths in my closet. Some of these things that I had made that were rusting. And I was like, and this was a house that I designed as a senior in high school, and I just was watching it fall apart. I was watching all the things fall apart, and I got told that I needed to be a more of a rock. And I was big money, and I thought it was. And a nice house, man, a big old Gone with the Wind looking house, and I couldn't figure out how much more of a big rock I needed to be. I was 6'3" and 250 pounds or 60 pounds, whatever it was. And that's rock, man. I had good money and big truck, and I was a rock, and I just couldn't identify what happened. What did I do that wasn't a rock? So I looked up the definition of a rock. And when I got past all of the Dwayne Johnson stuff, I got to this church there in Sanford called The Rock. And as soon as I clicked on to their website, this is about 3 o'clock in the morning now, and I clicked on their website, and the very first scripture was Revelation. It says, I stand at the door and knock. And it was me and my chocolate lab Kona. And I read it. I stand at the door and knock. And I really wanted some answers that night. And the door knocked. And me and Kona at 3 o'clock in the morning jerked our head. And Kona barked at the door knocking. So I wasn't hearing it, okay? It wasn't hey, I thought I heard the door knock going. So I walk up and open the door, and Kona's wagging her tail at Jesus. And he walked into my life. And, you know, it's made all the difference in the world. I want you to feel that. It's knowing the truth. It's telling somebody the truth. It's reading his word and spreading the word and the things that you'll learn. And whatever you get, I want you to learn it and go tell it. Go blow the trumpet. Go blow your trumpet. And you don't got to be something fancy. That's so funny. You know what? You can be a big old preacher, and you got a big old church, and you can have big old something. I got a $9 ring light and a cell phone. And if you got a good message, man, you're going to get it out there. You can even be a big old 60-year-old guy with gray hair, cries on the TV, and sounds like a country bumpkin. But you know what? If you got a good message and to tell people the truth, you're going to do just fine. Just fine. And when people were so tired of hearing this lies that people have been telling us, and they're uncovering lie after lie. And man, when I found out why they took that book of Jubilees out, I don't know why they took it out, but when I found out who took it out, I did TikTok on those couple of things back. I show you the map. And they removed that because it didn't jive with their wrong calendar. And chapter 6 tells you that they will err in their ways. So next week, we're going to find out exactly what happened with these people. And they erred in their ways. They took out the book of Jubilees. They took out Enoch 1. And when you go get these books of the Apocrypha and print them out, look and see Book of Enoch 2, 3, 4, and 5 were not found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. I have them on my link tree. They're free. It's only about 35 pages that were found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Enoch 2 starts talking about Noah and having white hair and blue eyes or whatever it was. And it's just so fantastical that it was put there to add a distraction to literally the watchers. And Enoch 1 is Genesis 6:4, which is the Nephilim, or the watchers, that descended. And it's not an extravagant story about the watchers. It's literally Genesis 6:4 expanded. It's just sad that that's what they did. I thought this picture was super cool. You know, they say that the new generation seeketh after a sign, and evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, but no sign will be given unto them except for the sign of Jonah. And Jonah was on his way to Nineveh. And these things right here are in Nineveh. And they literally were in Nineveh, and now they're in the British Museum, these 20-foot tall statues. And it was just so funny that, you know, people are going, that's the devil. That the devil is in the book of Job. He walks right up and starts talking with Job there. He starts talking to the sons of God, and Job is there. Not Job's there. And the sons of God are there, and Satan is there among them. That's 1580 BC. It's written right there in the Bible. And he was like one of the king, and he was maybe have been identical to the Jobab, if you look him up in the Bible. But nonetheless, man, I mean, that means that in 1580, 500 years before King David, the devil, which it was the king of Tyre, they said, hey, you have been in the Garden of Eden, or the Garden of God, the king of Tyre, and Ezekiel called the king of Babylon, Lucifer, you've fallen from the sky. He's been a king that's bounced around from body to body, man. I mean, it's not like, you know, the devil's all stitched up and I'm just one mortified looking guy that's 3,500 years old. He is that spirit that has invaded all these different kings, and he's manipulated his way right through this stuff until Jesus Christ ascended and locked him away for 1,000 years in Revelation 20, verse 1. That's what we do. That's what we're doing. Dude, I have come to see you on TikTok for a reason. Thank you for being here. Clyde, so much, man. I certainly appreciate that. There's some people that have contacted me and said, man, would you like come read for our group or join our Bible study or something like that? The answer is yes. I love to talk. Ask my wife. I'll end up talking to somebody and won't shut up. And I will. I'd love to be a guest. I'll give you a Zoom link and we'll go in and start talking, and I'll come right into your church and we'll just have a conversation. I was having a great conversation with somebody, and bless their heart, they wanted to hear the trumpet, and I read that book of Isaiah, that first scroll to them, and I'd do that 1,000 times, man. That's what I want my heart to be full of. And Jesus, he came back, and when he was here and he read in the book of Luke, the Isaiah scroll, he read, I'm going to open the eyes of the blind, and he literally changed the scripture of Isaiah 61. And it made me read the first part of Isaiah, and I can tell you right there in the first chapter, in the first verse of Isaiah, it starts talking to Jerusalem, and it says, you have sinned and you've let people come in to your city and destroy it, and it just looks terrible, and that's so true. Over the weekend, I promise you this, I am going to print out the Millennial Reign right here. I have to hold this stuff up in front of my body because it whites out. The only time you're ever going to see the Millennial Reign printed out is in the book of Gad the Seer. All right, it talks about, and then that was in 999 BC. That was the 1,000 years right after King David, and it's the only time it says the millennial reign. It is also the only time that you will ever see on the page before it, the Great Tribulation. 999 BC, right there. And after the Great Tribulation is the millennial reign in the book of Gad the Seer. Okay. There's nothing in there that says build a pyramid and shake a snake in the air and do something crazy. It's got a couple of Psalms in it. It tells you a little bit more information. All scripture is good for reading. I think you ought to read it. And it'll tell you a little bit more. There's a thing in the Bible where it says, and Satan prompted David to number Israel. And then in the comparable, like 1st or 2nd Chronicles or 2nd King, it says, and the Lord prompted David to number Israel. So it's conflicting. One book says Satan prompted David, and the next one says the Lord prompted David. Literally in the book of Gad the Seer, which tells you the truth, it says that the Lord prompted David and prompted Satan that prompted David, and it tells it in a much better way. It also says that David paid gold in one chapter and he paid silver in the other, and he literally paid silver for the offering things and gold for the place, or vice versa. So it explains that story quite well too, and it's not any different than when David buys the altar from Uriah the Jebusite, and the angel starts destroying Jerusalem and all that stuff. Absolutely, I can tell you that's going to be one of these right here. Fire angel. The fire angel and the Philistines destroyed these people. That's the Moabite right there. They asked David, said, hey, wasn't your great-grandmama Ruth a Moabite? And he's like going, yeah, she was, man. And getting ready to put you to death. So I'll print Gad the Seer, and I'm going to come on live and do some other things because I really want to take y'all down the Gad the Seer road. And I appreciate my people getting on here. Some of the other things that I'm reading for y'all is going to be the Baron Trump thing. And I don't want to read any of that stuff unless I can pair it right to a physical thing or an exact type of scripture. But it does go underground through Russia and ends up in a place called right at Astana. It's almost right where Astana is in Kazakhstan. And, that's my little piece of pizza right there. I got to put it in the pie. Doom. Okay. And that's all true. And the things that he does are there's a couple of little things, and this crowd starts to rebel, and they go to tear down the first hotel right there on Fifth Avenue, and just some really uncanny things there. So I really do appreciate my crowd sticking with me. And I've tried to go through, let me do the questions because that's what I wanted to get to. Do that. Y'all go back and see some of my stuff on YouTube. I want y'all to go there. I just became this partner on the YouTube. Tube. That one. This one. Pot. Not that one. Go back to there. What time? I'm going to tell you something. These questions are a little tricky, but they're not terrible. And most of the time, they just put Genesis right in there. Comparing Jubilees to Genesis, right here. All right, so both books talk about how people were wicked and God got fed up with them. But in Genesis, it says God saw the hearts of men were full of evil. What is that? You want to see that book again?
They all want to see that again.
Okay, I sure will. It says that God saw the hearts of men were evil all the time and that he regretted making them. But in Jubilees, it says that it was not just men, but it was also the angels and the watchers that sinned by corrupting the world. And I like that. I don't. It wasn't just, they got one verse in here where they tried to condense that. And you're right, the book of Jubilee says, and it was the sons of men. And then they got to destroy each other with the sword. And I'm telling you something, man, there's a sword later in the Bible. So and my answer to that question is, when you compare Genesis and Jubilees and all the ones that I've read, all the verses I've read, they compare word for word. It's just Jubilees has more receipts in it all day long. This is the year of Jubilees. The book of Jubilees has 50 chapters in it. The book of Genesis has 50 chapters in it. And whenever you read through those, it's almost, you can go to chapter 32 and it's reading or talking about Jacob or whatever it is. Sort of does. So here's my question. Does the book of Genesis say anything about angels sinning like in Jubilees? No. Or does it only blame mankind? What does the difference tell about each between the book of Jubilees explains why God decided to wipe out the world with a flood? It does explain why God tried to wipe out the world with a flood, because they had defiled all the things that crawled on the earth. But, he didn't kill the things that were in the water, and the beast comes through the sea. So I don't have an answer for that, but the water has never been a good thing. I mean, Jesus walked on top of it. His face was over the murmuring deep. He divided the waters from above to below. And when they went to go cross the Red Sea, he divided the waters. Even when they went to go cross the Jordan, Joshua set the ark in the Jordan River, and it divided the water so that they could cross over. It's just he decided to go off script and build almost a pyramid, a pillar. Question number 2. Genesis 3, which is, I'll read that to you. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Genesis 6:3 and Jubilees 5:8 both say that man's days will be 120 years. But Genesis doesn't say what happens in that time, while Jubilees shows immediate destruction before the flood. Why do you think Jubilees describes instant judgment while Genesis leaves the timing unclear? How does this change and the way that we understand God's patience and justice? I will tell you something. The way that Jubilees explains that and the way that Genesis doesn't explain it, it almost is how we've been explained federal spending. So I just know that those people deleted the book of Jubilees specifically because it talked about the angels, and it talked about messianic prophecies, and it talked about messengers, and they couldn't explain all that stuff. So I'm going to tell you something. They were they voted down that book of Jubilees, and they got away with it for the longest time. When it started to surface, when technology started to come up, they had it down into Ethiopia, and then they sent their guy down there to go pick up the copies of it. The church had it all along. But they wrote the part in Jubilees, I think it's 32 or 33, where the angel told Jacob, do not build this place. Specifically, those words, do not build this place. And they wrote it so that it matched the words of Genesis, where he just stacks up this pillar. And they said, do not build this place. God was in the tabernacle, so the tabernacle could be moved. I want y'all all to know that God was supposed to be where he was needed, when he was needed, and he told the people where to go and what to do, exactly what was going to happen. And they denied God. And they denied the things that he was doing, and they didn't even bring him out to the battlefield. And they asked for a king. And Samuel, said, hey, they want a king. And he said, don't you feel bad. They denied me. They've rejected me. And I told them that the king that would take over will take their children and take their sons and daughters and take their land and their stuff. And they still wanted a king, and that was King Saul, and then it was King David, and that's just the way that it is. So, a king was never, it says we fight against the governors of this world. And I try not to be political. I try to keep an open mind, because I just want you to know that the things that are supposed to be going wrong aren't going wrong the way they're supposed to be. Some of these things are backfiring on people, and things are happening. And I think there's a lot of truth coming out. So please do not go to the right or to the left too far. It says that even the very elect will be deceived. You need to know there's very important twist to that caveat right there. That who's really going to be deceived are those whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb. And when I see some of these things, I'm not saying my name is written in the book of the life of the Lamb, but I don't believe some of the things that I'm seeing, and I sort of see through some of their stuff, and I see symbology, and I see what they're doing on this stuff. And man, they did that whole thing with the Super Bowl, and everybody was saying PlayStation, and then I saw Squid Game controller, and I asked ChatGPT about where's the X in the thing, and because there's not an X in Squid Game. The people that did this was this and so and so. I said, when they got terminated, they got an X, and it said game over. He said, yeah, and I went, all right. So everybody was looking for a $40 billion commercial, and what was in the middle of it was a big X. The 10th Roman Legion are the ones that inhabited Jerusalem, and they're the ones that crucified Jesus. And you see X all over the place, and X this and X that. And, I just want you to know the heritage of that is pretty deep. So don't go too far left. Don't go too far right. I can tell you some of the things that I've seen that are on that side right there are terrible. And some of the things that are coming up could be bad. But, Jesus came back as a Jew. And it's because the Jews were running the place. And if he had come back as a Samaritan, or he had to come back as anything else, they would have rejected him without a doubt, and they would have not even listened to him. So just know that the difference between back then and nowadays is that it's not the Jews running the thing, it's billionaires and politicians and moneymakers, shakers and movers. And the false prophets and or the witnesses will be heard, and they will need to be of those types of people so that they can be heard. So expect a billionaire, an influential person or something to go the right way and some of them to go the wrong way. There's false prophets and there's witnesses and there's people that introduce these things, and you don't know who's what. So just don't judge anything face cover. You keep your eyes and go, hey man, what's good? What's good in that? And if there's a good thing in it, then you need to see the good in the middle of it. And don't try to go down them with the, hey, why did Jesus speak Aramaic? I don't know. I don't know exactly some of the answers to those questions. I rarely do able to look at the comments because when I do, but I can sure freelance this, and I love to kick right here. Let's go. Get some popcorn, enjoy the movie. Agree, Ezekiel? I love it when people agree with me, man. I tell you what, keep my eyes on Jesus. That's exactly what you got to do. Please, is there a rapture? Rapture means extreme happiness. It means that we're going to be caught up, and is another way of saying it in Greek. And yes, in a twinkling, in the sudden of an eye, we will be changed and we'll be caught up. And it says that for we do not all sleep. And even in Samuel, he says, why did you awake me from my sleep? When they asked the witch of Endor to go wake Samuel. And Saul was like, going, hey, man, what's going to happen? He goes, you're going to die. So, yeah, we sleep. That's there. Well, you have a helper in the Holy Spirit to guide you. Right. Discernment is a must. Discernment is super a must. You've got to focus on that. I love to hear the word of God. This is the word that I've been given. It's what I get to say. We can sit here and watch the watchers. The watchers weren't really watching anything. What do you think on the wheat and the tares we should be caught? I don't know. Oh, 1 second. Let me see that. Make it go down. Do you think the wheat or tares will be caught up? People ask me, it does say, who are those people? And those are the ones that went through the Great Tribulation, and they're the ones wearing the white robe, and their robes are washed. And it also says, and immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened. So I feel like that we are going to watch the tribulation of those things. And I feel like this is quite a tribulation in itself of what we're watching. It may not seem super tribulation to a lot of people on here, but I mean, you're burning mountains and hundreds of people are suffering and thousands of people are suffering because of these things. And, you see all the little things, the rivers turning to blood, this, that, and the other thing. But, when they crucified those people outside of Jerusalem, there was millions of 1.1 million people. I'm going to turn off that. Ooh, yeah. Y'all want to see this? I'll sit here and flip right through this book. I guarantee you, I can open this book. This is Moses when he broke all the things. I guarantee you, no matter what I open this book to, it's just going to blow you away. Yeah, that was creation of the day. So that was actually the coolest thing. Here's the angels in the garden. There's the creation of Eve. There's being kicked out of the garden. These are all hundreds of years old, so you can get these books and these plates, and they just mirror the book of Jubilees and the book of Genesis just perfectly. You can see right there, he made that offering. He offered an animal, and Jesus said, I don't like animal offerings and all this stuff. Here's where he slayed him. There's a snake. There's a snake right there. There's a serpent right there. You can see all these people headed for the hill. The great destruction we were reading when they opened the gates of heaven and all that stuff. They sure did. This is when it's coming over the top. That's that picture I just put into my work right there. And all those people at the bottom of it. That's what we're reading next week, where they divided the land. That's coming up, the Tower of Babel. I love that dude, man. He's all up. It has the measurements for the Tower of Babel in here. It's bigger than the Burj Khalifa. And it gives the measurements of the Tower of Babel. And, does the Bible say that the Tower of Babel was blown over? Negative. No, it doesn't. It does too. It doesn't. It doesn't say that. It just says it's like he dispersed them. It doesn't say he blew it over. In the book of Jubilees, it says he blew a great wind and blew it over. I know y'all are all going to go look it up. I sure did. I ran right to the Bible and just to go see if he blew the Tower of Babel over, and it doesn't say that. But the story had been passed down through time and time and time, and it was right there in the middle of the book of Jubilees, and I think it's in the next chapter. But my students and you are going to all read that with me. That book of Jubilees is on my page. Let me keep showing you some stuff. That was this thing is cool. This is on my bio page too. This map of time, and you can see how big it is, 3 foot tall. And I know a bunch of y'all have these things out here, but I'm going to show you right where it shows the 7-year tribulation and the covenant of 7 years, and when the oblations, when the sacrifice were ceased. There.
They need the name of this book.
Oh, I'll do the name of the book. My wife is so good with that stuff. I have 2 of this guy's books. This is Doré, Gustave Doré. He is off the chain with all of his pictures, all the way through the. Let me see some of this stuff. Gustave Doré is on the bottom of the stuff, just Jesus preaching off of the boat. Hang on. This is him scourging people in the temple with the cords. Just very graphic, super real. The stoning of Stephen. Right here. Bam, bam, bam. Man. And he had just said, "You have taken up the star of your God, Rentham." And that's that 6-pointed star. This is another Doré book. This is the Divine Comedy. Wow. This is the Roman Catholic Church right here. Is the back wall of the Sistine Chapel has the Divine Comedy boatman on it. Is why I got this book, because I was like going, hey, it's got hold on, let me show you. Right there. That's the back wall of the Sistine Chapel. That dude herding those people onto the boat. In the Sistine Chapel, that guy, what's his name? Charon. What? That's the name of a foreign car. And Astana Motors is getting ready to start making a Charon. It comes from overseas. Let's see, Charon. I'll write it down. Add it home. That Charon car. Charon boat. That's how I do rabbit holes right there. I'm sorry. Astana, the people that we've given billions of dollars for when the USA comes up, their major output and their production is nuclear stuff. They make nuclear weapons with. So we built the pyramids and the opera houses and the columns and all this stuff. But I understand that they have a My Car, and it's a My Financing, and a My thing. It starts with M-Y, and they're going to start selling and manufacturing cars, and I think they're trying to move the market to here, and they are Astana Motors, and that is, I don't know, Astana Motors, man. Pay attention to them. Charon, I think, was the name of it. This is a great book. Again, this is like King David. Got a king serpent. That's when he was in the cave of Adullam. But I'm sure it doesn't say that. No way. No way that it would. I can tell you, Oh, I can tell you right here, this has got Jesus Christ right in it, man. This is, it's almost like the last picture with the angels and this big cross. Amazing, right there. What do they go? Pow. So cool. This guy right here, he's telling them where to go. He's like going, hey, you should. And I mean, when a dude's holding his own hair and he's talking to you, that's a cool book. But that is the Divine Comedy, and it's some guy's book, and it parallels almost with this underground adventure of Baron Trump. Hamburger pizza, donkey buttons, doodad. Mama that put me up here for no reason. Look right here. This one right here, Divine Comedy. I loved it. I mean, this is not Divine Comedy. This is the Bible, and these are all biblical illustrations. It has 241 plates, and they call them plates because they're bigger than like a sheet of paper, so that you can make a full-size sheet of paper from that plate. And each one of those plates were an etching, and they were made a hard plate, and you can copy them. It's like old, the copyrights are off of them, and you can use them in your work, and it's just such a clear graphics. Super cool. And even when you just get into the depths of some of these pictures, let me show you. Move my mic a little bit. Serpent. See these things in the water. That's right in front of the Library of Congress, that dude riding that horse right there, man. There's a serpent in there too. See all that? See that serpent in there? So cool. Look at that thing. Ugh. Oh no. That's awesome. These people. Smash. That's got the shiny part. Let me see. Super, super cool. This guy right here. I love Tower of Babel. Gustav Doré. I bet his name's right here in the bottom somewhere. I could sit here and look at this for days. Gustav Doré. I'll try to put it in my book, in my Amazon links, because it's got 240 plates. These are when the angels come to talk to Abraham. That's in the next chapters we're getting ready to read, when the Malachim came to talk to him. And I mean, you see them. You saw also the three wise men, and always in sets of threes like that. Ooh. 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 Judgment Day. There. These things are cool, and I tell you what, if you could just spend your day, I always tell people my things because I want you to study, and I want you to have my guys like me. If they all shut the things down, I want you to just get the book of Jubilees, get you a cool Bible with red print. And the ones with red print, this was in my link, and it's an expensive Bible, so it's not the cheapest one. You can buy a Bible with red ink in it for, I don't know, $5-6. I have a bunch of them here. This is a Thompson's chain reference Bible. It is in my link tree. It is sort of expensive. This whole last part of it, these are all pictures. This whole last inch of this Bible is just pictures and graphics. But the chain references that are in this Bible are amazing, and every word almost has like a chain reference where it connects. And if you want to go down through that Charon and then find that word and look it up, it's just, I don't want to say a rabbit hole because those are cool. These are cool stories, and that's what we should at least fill one day of our week with, inter- educating ourselves on the Sabbath and resting in Him. Again, if you wake up in the morning, it's hard to wake you up, and I want you to get up. Open the cheapest Bible that you can to a random page and read that verse right there and just wonder why Jesus Christ woke you up and how hard it was, and ask Him what you can do for Him. And it may just be share some word or say something or do something nice for somebody or say something nice to them. And you might be that person that just said something nice to somebody and they stopped and said something nice to you and something bad didn't happen. And that could perpetuate itself, and you could have been the link in that chain that made something bad not happen then, and then something, and you could have changed all kinds of stuff just literally by saying hey to somebody. And that makes a lot of difference, man, because everybody matters. You're not super cool. I don't care how much money you got. You're not better. It says the meek shall inherit the earth, and that's the truth. And because He said you need to go give away all your stuff. And it's not that you needed to not, a rich man can't get into heaven. It said it's easier for a rich man to get through the eye of a needle. And the eye of a needle was the little door in Jerusalem or in all the other big gates. They had the big gate where the armies and the people would pass through, but they also had the little thing, the little door that they would, a personnel door. And in order for a camel to get through that little door, he had to lose all of the stuff and take it off of him, and he had to get on his knees and go through that door. So just know that you have to shed all of that and get on your knees before you can go through the eye of the needle. And it's just you going through that on your knees is what's going to save you. And that's that. When you lose everything, everything that you got, if you ever do, you'll see Jesus sitting on a bucket over there in the corner, man. And He's like going, I ain't going nowhere. And you just need to know that he's always gonna be sitting there, and he's not gonna get rid of you. And when you want to hear that knock, literally, I heard it. My dog barked at it, so you'll hear it. I love you, and go to my link tree, print the workout, go to my YouTube and watch the new ones, and look out for some of the new things that we're going to be doing on the YouTube thing, because I really can put some cool work there. I love y'all so much, and y'all please have a blessed day. Thank you for joining me.